Alrighty, our mixed media piece is dry. There it is. The wings are dry. This part is dry. And so what we're going to do now is we're just going to glue down the sides. And I wanted to show it to you. It's not complicated. And the reason it needs to be dry is if I flip it over like this, then you know it's going to mess up what's on the front. So I do flip it over and just glue those sides down. You don't have to touch it if you don't want to. And don't worry about the blank spaces. We'll take care of those later. And sometimes I just paint in those, a fun paint, and it just gives another dimension. And you can go ahead and do the back too. My customers, when they turn over my pieces, my back it looks like that, and that's okay. It's a mixed media piece. It's not a portrait or an oil that has to be perfect on the back. It is what it is, and we're good with that. So let's go ahead and glue all these edges. I'm actually using a really nice acrylic brush. Or maybe it's an oil brush, I don't know. I probably got it at the thrift store. I buy packages of used, sometimes new paint brushes. I just buy them when I see them because I run out of paint brushes. I'm kind of mean to them. Keep gluing, keep gluing, keep gluing. There's that beautiful tissue paper. Do you see how the softer paper just kind of folds over the back? Oh, my hands are getting involved. I'm going to be sticky. There we go. And do you see how like a heavier paper just wouldn't work for this? I like my sides to have some personality as well. And when something is wrapped around the sides, it's called a gallery wrap, or I think that's right. Anyway, it just is. It looks nice on the sides too. We want it to be interesting all over. So let's have a peek at the sides. Here we go. Those are interesting. They're not done. They're not done, but they're kind of fun. So I'm going to turn this with the wings up here. And of course, you're looking at it upside down. And then this is going to go there. Wow, all of a sudden it has personality. The wings on this almost look like a crown or a head of wild hair. That's fun. Okay, so before I glue this heart on, I'm going to do some more work in here. And remember, we talked about doing lots of layers. So there are about 5 different things we're going to do right now, different layers. One of them is we're going to do some inking. And when I tell people I do inking, they're like, what does that mean? Basically, that means that I use an ink pad, but also I can use Sharpie markers. I can use graphite as well. This is a paper, glass, plastic, metal pen. This is Aquarella Stabilo, S-T-A-B-I-L-O. And a lot of the artists that I study with actually use this, so it's kind of cool. Let's see what it does. I'm going to go to a place that's kind of cool. It does a neat edging. So right now we're going to oh, I just got glue on my pencil. Don't do that. I'm going to teach you what not to do. But anyway, there are a lot of things, a lot of ways to get a dirty. Let me grab one back here. There are also oil pastels you can use. This is an oil pastel, and you can get a package of these really cheap. And those make a really cool edge too. Now it's pretty messy. Do you see how messy my hands are? So if I'm doing anything that's going to pick up on this, like if I'm using white paint and I stick my finger in there, it's going to turn gray. I really don't want gray anywhere in my picture. Gray to me is not a great color. It's not really a color, but it's just, I don't like it. It's gray. It's just gray. I'd rather have black and white. So I'm going to take my little fingers and wash them. I got clean water while you weren't looking. Got some clean water over there. All right, so here, these are some of the things we can use to dirty our piece with. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a waterproof stamp. This is a good one. And then there's color box as well. And I'm sure wherever you are, you can pick one up. And so I'm gonna use a stamp. And you see how carefully I store my stamps. I know some of you, I've seen posts, how to store your rubber stamps. Well, I am not that organized, but I do have some favorite stamps. I like circular things, so here's, you can't see it very well. This is a very, very dirty circular stamp. I don't clean my stamps either. Somehow I survive without cleaning things. I'm not, I'm not bragging, just saying. I'm just saying. I don't really, here's a mushroom stamp and it's really cute, but I don't want to introduce another shape in here besides circles and squares and lines, because I already have a heart and I'm going to have a button and a key, and I think I'm going to put the word love too. So to me, another shape, another image is going to confuse things, so I'm not going to put something like that, but I will put, I like this. These are letters, words. It's kind of like an old document, as if, having vintage paper isn't enough for me, but I like the lines. I like how this is cut off. It's organized and it's chaotic at the same time. And remember, we're trying to get different value. We're trying to do opposites. Oh, that kind of fell out. Maybe that wants to go in there, but I'm not going to do it. Here we go. Here we go. And I tend to mumble and talk fast, but if it's really important, don't stress. I'll say it again, because I know when I mumble, or we'll write it out. I'll have my editor write out something if you're missing it, if I mumble. Alrighty, let's just do, that's all I'm doing with that, is just coming and make sure I turn it this way and that way. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Nothing fancy. Layers, layers. Someday I'm going to count how many layers I do. And then circular. And I like the circular because the button's going to be circular, right? And so one way that your eye moves through a painting is by shape. Another way is by value, and that's dark and light. Color is another way your eye moves through a painting. And even though mixed media seems kind of helter-skelter and you just throw it on, I'm a fine artist, and I like to think about those fine art concepts while I'm making my mixed media piece. How is somebody's eye moving through the painting? Do people want to stay and look at the painting? When I have a piece in a gallery, I love to just kind of secretly go watch people stand in front of my work. And honestly, the longer they stand, the more victory I feel, because I've created like this bridge where I get to meet with the person who's looking at my painting, and it's creating this bridge, and we get to meet there and have a conversation, even though they may never meet me. So anyway, and one of those ways I do that is by creating like shapes through the piece. And so this is a circular piece. My key will have some circles on it, the hole in it, and for sure the button will have that too. So I'm gonna put some circular shapes where we're gonna see them. And if the side was dry, I would put some on the side, but I don't wanna do that too much. So I'm gonna put one pretty obviously up here, and then maybe right in there. And it doesn't even have to be a whole circle, because our mind finishes that for us. Our mind fills in the gap. And so I think I'm done with that for now. Okay. Dry. And I would get the blow dryer out. It's funny when I teach a class and everybody wants to blow dry. It's like, hello, it's too loud. And then I think I'm going to come in, and I think those are dry, and I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to do a wash of white. And I'm using, this is just a basic white. What kind of white is it? It's just white. And it's kind of goopy. And let's do, this is cream coat. Oh, this has a pearl finish to it. That'll be nice. That'll be nice. We'll see what happens with that, okay? One of my students said, you're running out of pearl finish. And I said, well, you know what? I never use it. It must be you that's running out. And she knows who she is. In fact, she's coming over this evening to work. Okay, so what I do here is I take a brush that's really dry and it's really hard, a hard brush, not a soft brush, And I'm just getting a little bit on my brush. Do you see how I'm just getting a little bit. And I'm gonna come over. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? This pearl stuff is not, it's really transparent. I'm gonna stop right here because I forgot to actually sand this. And so I'm gonna do that real quick. So I use it's a fine sandpaper. And I'm going to, that's about it. Ooh, that's not even totally dry. I'm thinking you need to wait a good couple of hours for that to dry. It's going to be okay. But those wings are still kind of cool, and that means they're not quite dry. So back to this. That pearl is really transparent. Do you see how you hardly can see it on this plate? And that's fine. It's more of a, yeah, that's what we want. We want something a little more opaque. So there's opaque, which is not see-through. There's translucent, which is kind of see-through, and then there's transparent, which is very see-through. So we want something a little translucent. And this is when my hands need to be clean because I get in here with the fingers. So I consider this layer kind of like if I was making a soup and I had all these ingredients sitting out on the counter, peppers and some nice sausage for you vegans, some tofu and onion and tomatoes, and I had all that sitting out on the counter. And it's all fragmented. It's delicious the way it is, but it's not a soup yet. What the soup needs is a base, a broth. And so kind of this white paint is kind of the broth. It's what brings all these fragments together. And even though you're not seeing very much, it really is putting a white layer on top of everything. It's kind of a veil. I don't want it to be, even though the paint by itself is opaque, when I put it on here, I move it around a lot. I can even do it on the sides some, even though they're still a little damp. Oops, that one's very damp. One thing I don't want to do is let my paintbrush get really stiff with that glue. I did get some glue on my paintbrush. See how we're just layers and layers and layers. And sometimes when we do mixed media, we're like, oh, I see other people doing mixed media and mine doesn't look the same. Sometimes it's because you haven't done enough layers. Okay, we're gonna color these wings later. Okay, so remember we're doing a dark layer, a light layer, so we did the dark of the ink, and now we're doing a light layer of the white, and then when this dries, we're gonna do another dark layer, if you can believe it. Okay, I'm gonna put this in my water over here, and I think I'm done with the white just for now. We'll see what it needs later. Alrighty, let's put this on here and think about it. I am really loving this. I feel like the black ink is really bright, but I haven't dirtied the edges yet. Once I dirty the edges, it's gonna quiet that down. It's like this is a voice singing really loud, but if we bring in some other loud voices, it's gonna be okay. This is lovely. It's very scruffy. I love that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and ink the edge of this heart. I forget to do it sometimes and I glue it down. It's hard to do later. And so I'm gonna dirty the edge. This side I'm gonna dirty with ink pad. I wanna go up on it a little bit. And just for just to experiment, I'm gonna dirty this side with the oil pastel. It's a different look, isn't it? This is pretty solid. And this is pretty kind of catching a little bit of it. I actually think I wanna do both. Now that I'm doing it on this piece, I'm gonna do the edges with this, and then if you can believe it, we're gonna come and put gold on here in a minute and some more white. Lots of layers. And then, so that just went on the edge, but then coming in from the edge, I'm gonna do a little bit of this pastel, oil pastel. You can use a really soft pencil too, like a 4 or 6B. And let me tell you about pencils. I always was confused, like what is a H? What is a B? I don't get it. So H, I think of H as hard. So a 6H is harder than a 2H. So you got 6H, 4H, 2H, and then right in the middle is an HB. B, I think of baby, of soft. So a 2B is not as soft as a 6B. So think about the 6s, the 4s, the 2s, and the middle is the HB. So if you want a soft pencil, you're going to get a 6B, and I think there's like an 8B too. 8B also. And again, I have dirty fingers, and I want to be careful because I'm going to be using white paint in a minute, and I'm gonna clean up my fingers. My little pool of water. Alrighty, there. Now see, that separates it from the light. You got dark and you've got light. So it needs to be separated. We may even do some shading in here. I'll see in a minute. I'm still really bothered by the black ink. It's just it's too bright for me. It's too dark, I should say. So I'm gonna go ahead and ink my edges and see if that helps me a little bit. So this is how now again, I'm a little wet on the edges. It's a little wet on the edges. So I'm getting glue on my ink pad. I'm so cruel to my equipment. But my equipment is happy to be in my studio because I make happy art. Oh, I'm liking it. I like to go up on the edges a little bit. Alrighty, how's that? Now this doesn't seem so shocking to me. It's coming together. I'm liking it.